I must say, I'll take $20 million just to get knocked out on Netflix.
Heck
That's
yeah,
fine.
man.
Let me
Heck yeah.
in on it. But we're going to be talking all about the Tyson and Paul fight, why we are a day later, because, we wanted to see how Netflix would put on this huge, mega live show. And did y'all freeze up? Was it a little rough to
Right?
try to watch? I know mine was, and I know his was. So it's going to be crazy to talk all about the nitty grittiness of it. But man, oh man, this past week has been absolutely crazy for me. I know it has been for you too. So I'm just excited to do something that we both love and just cherish because I needed a win this week, and this recording this podcast is definitely a win.
I mean, absolutely, like, and for two totally different issues, but it was just a wild, crazy week that kind of had everything off whack. And yes, to be able to finish it by doing this and what we love, and then following this up with our storyboarding session, we're gonna start storyboarding for the film and everything. So we're gonna end the week strong after a crazy start. So it's all good. And man, yeah, I'm excited about this one, man. We've got so much good stuff. The future of Hollywood now that Trump is in office. Is it good news? Is it bad news? I can't wait to dive into that one. I know Paramount's got some issues, but one thing that was always consistent for them, iCarly, so only makes sense that might be coming back. And I Red One. Everybody's been anticipating this one. It's around Christmas. We're already playing 24/7 Christmas music on the stations and everything's out there. So it's going to open to a huge success, right? Right? We're going to let you know. We'll find out. We got the details. But man, I'm excited to just jump into it all, man. It's going to be a fun one.
That's right. That's right. And the Star Wars franchise is getting further and away in a galaxy far, far away for theatrical releases. So we're going to be talking all about that too. But man, oh man, it's going to be a great show. Now, let's get into it.
Hello, everyone. So you want to start a podcast but have no idea where to start? Well, Crazy Ant Media is here to help you. We want to assist you finding your VFE. What's VFE, you ask? Well, that is your voice, your format, and your equipment. These are the three biggest essentials you need to start your podcast. All those hours watching nonstop YouTube videos or all those random website links, those are done. Just hop on a Zoom call with us and we'll talk about everything you need to know to create your own podcast and find your voice. Plus, we will send you home with a 12-page packet over everything we just discussed. It's very in-depth. It is definitely a must-need while trying to start your first podcast. Contact us at info@crazyantmedia.com today so that you can start finding your podcast voice for tomorrow.
What's up, guys? Oh my goodness, episode 276 of ITCAF Podcast. You guys know your host with the most, myself, J-Lo Fantastic, and the one and only Mouse.
What's up?
Man, oh man, we feel good to be back. That is for sure. It's been a whirlwind of a week, so we're just happy to be here talking about what we love.
Yes.
But before jumping into all the nitty-gritty episode news that we have for you on this episode of ITCAF Podcast, please be sure to leave a rating on this show, because commenting below and telling us what you think about this show actually helps this podcast get seen by more people who enjoy entertainment news, but especially those who are trying to break into the entertainment industry. Man, oh man, us here at Crazy Ant Media are all about lending a helping hand, and that's what we tend to do. So lend us a helping hand by give us a review and to rate us, share the podcast. Please be sure to do that. We appreciate anything that you do to support us, whether that's buying merch, whether that's listening to the podcast, subscribing to the YouTube channel. It helps us immensely. So thank you for that.
Yes.
And then, of course, be sure to head over to our website, speaking of merch, www.crazyantmedia.com, where you can start rocking the latest and greatest Crazy Ant Media gear. We do have shirts, we have hats, we have anything and everything you need for your right around the corner Christmas needs. That's right. Y'all better start shopping because it is the season, man. Christmas
we got Letterman
is here.
jackets. What a cool way to sport for the winter, right? Like a good Letterman jacket for winter and weather. That's going to be epic, man.
I know. It's freaking awesome. Our website, our distributor, has really been up in its game with the partnerships that it's been doing. We got partnerships with Under Armour, Adidas, and a couple of other ones, Champion. Like, we're super excited about all of these new venture opportunities that Crazy Ant Media can dive into. But we are starting off with a little bit of the business side this week on ITCAF Podcast. Because, man, oh, man, we all know a couple weeks ago, Donald Trump got reelected to come back into the White House. Now, we want to know and we want to talk about what's the entertainment going to look like under Trump 2.0. Well, we do know that California Governor Gavin Newsom recently proposed upping that annual cap on the state and film television tax credits to $750 million. Currently, it's at $330 million. So that's a huge jump.
Huge.
He and others have called for the federal government to step in and keep the U.S. competitive in this global production game. Because if you think about the entertainment industry, or at least I do, since, I mean, obviously we live here, we think about Hollywood. But I mean, you know, India's got a huge thing going on. I mean, China, they have a huge film and television market as well. The UK. But Gavin Newsom and everyone in California wants to keep the well-oiled machine going, even though the past couple years has been a little rough with the writer's strikes, the pandemic. It's been a little rough on Hollywood. So we're trying to do what we can to get everything back above water. So, I mean, with Trump 2.0 coming into office, I'm really trying to think about it because first time around, Trump came into office. We had Fox merging with our 20th Century Fox, I should say, merging with Disney. So that was a big one that got pushed right through. But we do know Rupert Murdoch was also on the helping hand of that. But another one that was attempting to happen that was stalled a lot. And we talked about this in the very, very, very beginning episodes of our show, AT&T and Time Warner. That was a huge one that the federal government took its time on. That's for sure. And I mean, obviously, CNN being underneath that umbrella, that was a big part of it because of the whole fake news movement. So what is Trump 2.0 going to look like for Hollywood? What's your thoughts and opinions?
I think it's going to be mixed.
Yeah.
Because clearly Newsom is I think it's more so his competition in states than out of the country. Yeah. Georgia continues to be where the hot spot is. And they have no limit on their tax incentives aren't capped. So that is why everything goes through there. And even the major studios that are based in Hollywood are filming in Georgia, which can't make California happy. Hence the giant jump, I think. The problem is that the two biggest areas, three, if I'm being honest about it, biggest areas for production in the United States, California, Georgia, and New York, Trump's not a fan of any of them. So he hates Newsom. He's not Georgia done did him wrong, so he's not fond there. And he vacated New York to go to Florida, and he's no longer a resident. He thinks New York's got major problems now as well. So if you're asking that administration to lend a helping hand in the three biggest sectors where film and television are made in the U.S., I'm guessing there's going to be a little back and forth and probably no. Plus, the guy that he's put in charge of saying whether the White House and the U.S. government is effectively spending money is Elon Musk, who also not a fan of Hollywood or any of the A-listers. So, I think that I think that's going to be an interesting thing. And then you've got, it wasn't just the presidential election. You had a bunch of shifts in a lot of the state races. And Louisiana, where we were really excited about 4 months ago, their legislators came out, the House, and said they want to eliminate it again, altogether again. Get rid of it. They don't think it's worth it. It's not. And obviously, filmmakers in Louisiana, including 50 Cent, who just spent a massive investment in that state, buying a studio up in North Louisiana and Shreveport and everything, they were like, hold up, wait a minute, excuse me. So a lot of the filmmakers, including 50 Cent, got with some of the pro-film friendly legislators and said, you guys better get on the floor and fight this because we want it back there. And so I think the whole thing underneath the new government, if you will, with this past election is going to be really interesting because there's been a lot of investments made all over the country. In Nevada, Wahlberg is trying to like really expand and bring it into Nevada. We know New Mexico. We know Texas is just trying to get in the game. North Carolina is making a heavy push to get back into it. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I'm with you. I think, we saw, and then, like you said, underneath the first time that Trump was in there were several mergers, and I'm assuming that we're going to see a few more. Remember, the Paramount deal still has to be signed off on. That's not a done deal yet. And so, are we going to see that? We know Trump is business friendly, though. He likes he is business friendly. He likes to give tax breaks. It could be very beneficial for business owners, including the Hollywood studios. It's how much are they asking for? What do they want from Trump? And we all know Trump doesn't give anything without something back. So that's where it's going to be the given. What does Trump get in return? And that's the question because Hollywood hates him.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I mean, we've talked about on our other podcast, Everything's Okay, hoping that, the liberal side can try to work their way back more to the middle so that we can try to figure out to where we can get things done because this is a democracy. We want to make sure that the country is moving forward and not just one side's agenda. But I'm glad you brought up 50 Cent because 50 Cent actually does not really ever have a problem with Trump.
No,
I mean, he's gone on the record he's like, no, I'm a businessman too. So he is very much on that side. So if it could go up and then trickle down back to Louisiana, I think that would help, getting in people's ear. But yeah, I mean, all of this different stuff, I don't see a lot of it really being any different than what it was under his first regime. But I think it's going to be very interesting, and I'm glad you brought up the Skydance Paramount deal as well, because I don't know where they fall politically, but I do think that would be a big merger if it doesn't go through that could possibly end Paramount, in my opinion. I think that could possibly end Paramount.
Without doubt. The good news for them, though, is I feel like the FTC and all of the organizations that have to sign off, on that deal, right. They're all going to be business friendly now under Trump. So I feel like any roadblocks and or resistance from those organizations that might have been probably will be gone and clear the way for that to go through pretty easily, I would think. Just because it is business, and Trump boasts about being a business president. So, so I think that should get smooth sailing through. It should. We'll see. We're gonna find out. It's just going to be a very interesting 4 years. That's all I can say. But I'm with you. I agree. I don't think the entertainment landscape is going to change drastically underneath his 4 years. I'm more concerned about after his 4 years what's going to happen, because we kind of know what we're going to get with him. What we don't know after him is who is the new Democratic face. And who is the new Republican face? Because MAGA will be gone. He only gets these 4 years. He can't run again. So you're going to have a new face and leadership in the Republican Party. And what is that going to be? Is that going to be the Nikki Haley conservative face? Is it going to be J.D. Vance trying to continue some form or variation of MAGA but not MAGA, or something completely different? And then on the other side, who is it? Is it AOC and the far left progressives? Because that didn't work. Is it the more middle-leaning moderates but still kind of out there like Kamala? That didn't work. So who is the face for the Democratic Party? So yeah, my concern is more 4 years from now. Who are we getting on both sides, and will they be business friendly?
Yeah, that's the question, man. That's the question because, yeah, like I said, Hollywood just needs a win. So if we can make this happen somehow, some way, can we please continue to do that? Because right now, it feels like Hollywood's dying. I'm not even going to lie.
Oh, without
It feels
doubt.
like Hollywood's dying. So I'm hoping we can just keep our head above water and make some profit and continue to do the thing we all know and love. So that is a big thing. Another interesting thing, though, to turn away from the business side and shift more towards the creative side, and this is very interesting, Juror Number 2, which is reportedly Clint Eastwood's last film, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, the writer on that thing says he's writing a movie about the making of It's a Wonderful Life for the Russo brothers. Now, if you don't know what A Wonderful Life is, this is a classic freaking Christmas film. Listen, to all of our younger audiences, I know the old man is laughing right now, but to the younger audience, if you don't know It's a Wonderful Life, it's a classic Christmas film that is arguably the best Christmas film of all time.
Yeah.
And so putting the Russo brothers behind this would be very interesting because if not a lot of people know about it, it's the post-war era, the golden age of Hollywood when this thing came out. But I mean, it's obviously going to be something that I think it's going to be in the same vein as Saturday Night. You know, I think it's going to do around the same numbers, because you don't have a lot of that younger audience, maybe, if they didn't get shown that movie.
Yeah.
But so marketing is key on this thing. And I think, is this where Hollywood is going in their creative realm? Are they leaning into the making of films, like kind of like they did with the television show The Offer for The Godfather, and like they did a Saturday Night with SNL's first night on air? So it'll be interesting.
Well, it will be. And I think that the headline is a little misleading, because when I started reading a little bit more into it, from what I'm getting from it, it's actually going to be a biopic about Jimmy Stewart that's being told during the time that he was making It's a Wonderful Life.
Interesting.
So we'll be seeing the making of A Wonderful Life, but it's because we're watching him at that point of his life, and that was the main project that he was doing. Because, and I could be wrong about that, but the reason I think that is because when I was digging deeper into the story, it's apparently this writer for Juror Number 2, he has a script, a biopic about Jimmy Stewart that's in this era, the golden age of Hollywood, when this movie was being made, and he sold it to ABCO, which is the Russo brothers. So, I mean, unless they're just drastically going to change that, I'm guessing that is what we're going to see. And so, either way, though, you're right, because Saturday Night really wasn't a movie about the making of the pilot episode of Saturday Night as much as it was a biopic about Lorne Michaels and him getting Saturday Night made. Right?
Yeah.
So if it goes that route, then I think you're right. I think we're going to see similar numbers. It's going to attract a very similar based audience. People that know it will go see it. People that are unsure will not. And then it'll end up on a streamer and probably do really well.
Exactly.
So I think that's just how it all is. And yeah. I quickly too, now that we're going to jump over into Disney, right? I have to say this because I thought this was very interesting. Apparently, there was the quarter 4 earnings call. Disney had it recently, and Iger got caught on an open mic saying that he wasn't so sure that he should have, or did he make a mistake in revealing streaming subscriber numbers, but what he revealed, not how many subscribers, he revealed what percentage of subscribers signed up for the ad packages. And then he panicked, I guess, on this open mic. It's like, oh shit, should have I revealed that? Should have I said that? But he didn't realize it was still open. And the numbers, this was interesting to me, and I'm sure he's like trying to get this taken away everywhere, but they were low 30s. Like in the US, it was only like 34% of the subscribers signed up for the ad tier, and foreign it was like 36 or 37%. So you would think
that's
that
a decent amount.
It is, but you would think, because people complain so much about the prices of the streamers, that it would have been more than that. It would have been like, oh, I'll get the ads. So that goes to the question, right? Do people really want ads on their streamers?
Right.
Because remember, most of the studios are banking on the fact that they can now become profitable with the streamers by selling ad space. But if their subscribers don't want ads, that's going to be hard to do. So that's why I just wanted to throw that out there, because it's like, if you're trying to go to a big, Fortune 500 company and get them to buy ad time, but your numbers will only 30% of our people want it, so 70% of our audience won't see it, then why would somebody go, 70% of your audience won't see it, why would I buy an ad? Like, just saying.
Well, that's another interesting thing under the new Trump regime.
Yeah.
Are people going to have more money in their pockets to where they're not going to want to have ads on their streaming
That's exactly
services?
right.
So it all is a full circle moment, man. It's all business. Well, speaking of business in Hollywood, we all know at the beginning of the year, we have to celebrate the previous year with the Oscars. And we were wondering who's going to host it, because Jimmy Kimmel came out and said, nope, not me. No, I'm done doing it this year. After the last few years, I had a great run. It was fantastic. Not to say that it's a closed door altogether, but he's not coming back this year. And instead, Conan O'Brien is going to be hosting these Oscars. And we even said, once we reported on when Jimmy Kimmel wasn't coming back, it needed to be another late night host type of personality. And so they obviously listened to the show. Thank you for listening, the Academy. We want to thank you. Thank you, Academy. But Conan, I think this is going to be because Conan's funny. He's pretty likable. I really don't have a big opinion on Conan, but I know you and Emily like him a lot. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do.
And here's I love him. You're right. Yeah. I think he's just genius, and I'm a huge fan of Conan. Have been his entire run. Here's my concern. Mm-hmm. He's very niche, like David Letterman. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The kind of comedy he does, you either love it or you hate it. Mm. And my concern is when David Letterman hosted the Academy Awards, it did not go well. Even though people love David Letterman, a mass amount of people that maybe weren't late night fans didn't get his humor. And so It didn't go well. And that is my concern, is that potentially we could see that I love movies, but I don't pay attention to anything late night, who might not know Conan, they might not get his humor because he's a bit quirky. When the guy's standing there pulling up his pants, he does weird, and he does strange comedy like Letterman used to do. So, that's my concern. I am thrilled though, because I do think he's very funny, and it will be entertaining, and he's going to have some great content. It's just, will people buy into that content is we're going to see. We're going to see. And fingers crossed, because I want him to do well. I really want, if any guy deserves to have the success of hosting the Oscars and see the numbers go up and everybody give him rave reviews, it's him. Because he has been given the raw deal over the last few years. The way he was forced out of the Tonight Show and then told, you can't be anywhere else either, so good luck. And he had to wait that stretch before he could even do anything else. Kind of. He's just been raw dogged, like, a lot over the last 15 years or so. Now he's recovered really nicely, and he's got a bunch of new stuff going on, and he's kind of kicked. But still, I just feel like this is the guy you want to root for. So I'm hoping this goes well, and I'm hoping that it can maybe establish a nice relationship with Disney. And maybe there's potential there.
Yeah.
You never know. Do we see him back on late night? Because Kimmel has hinted that he's almost ready to walk away, like James Corden did, because the health issues with his son, and he wants to spend more time with family. And so, if Kimmel walks away, I feel like the only guy that could kind of step into his platform, and of course it would be different. I'm not saying just step into his show and take it over.
No, yeah.
But for his audience, Conan would be that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Because Kimmel's very quirky, and Kimmel says all the time he idolized David Letterman and Conan O'Brien. So it only makes... So I'm hoping my point is getting back to, if the Oscars go really well, maybe Disney sees an opportunity there, and maybe Conan sees an opportunity there, and you never know.
Maybe it's an audition, man. Maybe it's
that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm saying. It's like, this guy we might want to put him as Kimmel's replacement. Let's see how it goes.
Right. Exactly, man. Exactly. Well, guys... So the time has come. Disney, they have removed an untitled Star Wars film previously scheduled for December 18th of 2026 from its release calendar. Instead, they put that new Ice Age movie that we told you about a couple weeks ago, Ice Age 6, into that time slot. This is super sad, Grogu. I gotta tell you, this is super sad, but don't worry, because you'll see Grogu and the Mandalorian.
Yeah, they're still coming.
They're still coming. This was the untitled one. But we do know rumors that Rey is going to possibly be in it as like the leadership figure, like we have talked about before. Been seeing all that stuff over Twitter from a pretty reliable source. I mean, this guy, like, he knows his stuff, and basically almost everything he says, it comes out. But so it'll be interesting to see how that moves forward. But again, they have to be very calculated with the Star Wars films, because what once was a beloved franchise about a galaxy far, far away is now a pile of shit. I'm not even gonna lie. So I mean, it's sad, because I am a huge freaking Star Wars fan, and so to have all of these different reviews and fans that are just very wishy-washy, it's very unfortunate. So I want them to get it right, but I also want to see content sometime soon. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Same. And the question is which untitled project was it, right? We had one from Kevin Feige. We had one from Patty Jenkins. We had one from, so everybody's just scratching their head going, well, whose was it that was taken off, right? Because we don't officially know. So I guess they know. You know, we've talked about this before, though. It is my sincerest belief that ship won't be fixed and start flying properly again until a certain exit is made. And we all know who I'm talking about, Miss Kennedy. I just think she's just not the person. And until she exits, I think that ship is going to stay course and be in trouble the way it is. It's like, Jerry Jones with the Cowboys. I liken that. I like Kathleen Kennedy to Star Wars as that to that. It's just like, it ain't going to fix until somebody's gone. Period.
Exactly.
It's just... All right, so let's head over to Paramount. This one was confusing, I think, for a lot of people to begin with, because when the revival of iCarly came back, it was a massive hit, and it was renewed for a third season. It was rocking and rolling. It was still doing really great in the ratings, and then was abruptly canceled. Like, it caught everybody by surprise, including the cast, and everybody was scratching their heads because it was still doing awesome in the ratings. It was still a hit. And so when that happens and it's caught by surprise for the showrunners and the cast, you generally don't have shit wrapped up because it's a surprise. And that was the case with this. But according to Miranda Cosgrove, Carly herself, they're going to fix that. It's apparently in the works at Paramount. Paramount realizes that they fucked up. Should have let that have closure. And I don't know whether this is going to be a movie. Is it going to be an event thing where it's like 3 or 4 episodes or whatever? But Miranda says the fans will be 100% happy with it, super excited, and it will wrap up any of the loose ends or cliffhangers that were left abruptly when it got canceled. So, I'm super excited about this because Freddie and Carly were together now. And I'm like, is this going to be a happy ending? Is this how it like I need to know. You can't just leave me hanging. Like there was so much going on when it just abruptly came to an end. So, and I hate that shit. So I'm super glad that Paramount is at least going to go, okay, we'll let you close it out. We'll let you finish it. What do you think? I mean, I know Emily's a huge fan of it. I don't know if you ever kind of got into it. Me and Emily were huge into it. I don't know if she ever got you on board with it, but I'm thrilled that they're going to close it up.
Yeah, I was watching it when she would have it on. I wasn't watching it just on my own time, but I really enjoyed it. All the episodes I saw, I like how they, stepped it up, made it a little bit more edgy since they were adults. I loved the original show when I was a kid and watched that all the time. So I really hope they come back, kind of like in a Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, where they come back for the movie or, like you said, a limited series, 3 episodes, whatever, just to kind of tighten up things because it was popular. Other than Taylor Sheridan, who is running that freaking network,
yeah,
they really don't have like the biggest TV shows, in my opinion. Like, take away all the Taylor Sheridan shows and you have a whole bunch of like reality TV. And
that's exactly right.
That. I mean, you do have Tracker and Fire Country, but those are technically network, I feel like. So
yeah,
I don't know. So
I would say, to speak to your point, legitimately, I think that the only thing that they really have that is a strictly Paramount Plus show that's killing it in the ratings and doing really well, because like you said, the rest of them that are on there are CBS shows that they re-show on Paramount Plus, is Frasier. Frasier was made for Paramount Plus. The revival was a Paramount Plus show, and it's gangbusters. It's doing really well and looks like it's going to get renewed again. So, but yeah, I can't think of any, like you, I can't think of any others. They're all CBS shows that air on Paramount Plus afterwards. So,
right, and I was gonna say don't say Criminal Minds because that started off as a network show.
No, that's a CBS. Yeah, that's a CBS show. The revival might be for Paramount Plus, but that's a built-in CBS audience that came to it. So yeah, totally different. You're right. Other than Taylor Sheridan's original content, that's the only original content they have. My hope, going back to Miranda Cosgrove though, is she's made the attempt a couple of times. To separate herself from Carly, and she had an appearance on a couple of drama shows, and she wasn't a very nice person, and she's tried to be like, it is my sincerest hope that if we get a definitive ending to this now, she can make that step up, because she's a really great actress. And the stuff that I've seen her in outside of Carly, she killed it. I just don't think enough people saw it. So yeah. Maybe Taylor Sheridan puts her in a show. Like, make her the lead, bro. I think there's an opportunity there, and I think she deserves it because, she's got a massive fan base that I think will follow her. And she just needs that opportunity to find the right vehicle, I think. So I'm hoping that when they definitively wrap this up, she can move on from it and we can see some more of her in something else.
Yeah, most definitely. Completely agree. Well, something that has already been wrapped up that they're going to possibly unwrap, or at least in a different way. We're talking about NBC Universal discussing about the possibility of bringing Friday Night Lights back to the field, the gridiron. Man, oh man, they're saying that the series showrunner from the original, Jason Katimis, is on board to return along with executive producer Brian Grazer of Imagine Entertainment, of course. The project is set to focus on a whole new story with new characters set in the same world of high school football. Now, this does mean that the original cast members like Kyle Chandler, Connie Britton, Glasses Charles, Jesse Plemons are not expecting to return. So I'm assuming, I've never watched this show, but it's always been on my watch list because everybody talks about how it's freaking phenomenal. I know it's won Emmys, all the actors won Emmys. So it's just interesting because it's like, it's the same as, do we bring back another This Is Us? Do we bring back a Parenthood? Do we bring back, these epic dramas that probably had a great storybook ending, but you're trying to unravel that because, again, the day and age where we are at in Hollywood, something that is, even if it's not the same story like Suits LA, something that is similar, that kind of has the same title, that's set in the same world, is comfortable. Hollywood is being very comfortable right now. And so I think this is another example of that. I can't say that I blame them, but it kind of sucks for the original cast, because I feel like, that's all of our work that is not diminished, but it's also like kind of not forgotten about, but just kind of pushed to the side, I guess.
Right. Well, and like you said, this one, if you're going to do it, I mean, anybody who's ever lived in the state of Texas, or just if you're a fan of football, they live and breathe football. And so
high school football, man. Yeah.
This makes it, you could literally, there's like 1,000 different high schools in the state of Texas with football. You just go to a different school. So it's an easy transition to make it a totally different high school with totally different coaches and totally different players and totally different drama, because that would be the truth, because Texas is just peppered with them. You can drive block, and have, 3, 4, 5 different high schools. So it only makes sense. This is easy. And it's funny that you brought up Parenthood, because Jason Katman's created Parenthood too. But much harder, right? If you come back to Parenthood, what is it? Is it a revival and then we see where everybody's at now? Because you can't just bounce to a different family, right? Because the high school football team's different. You can't just go from family to a different family and go, it's Parenthood again.
Exactly.
So this was a huge hit. I think there is an audience for it. We're seeing that football is still popular. It's clear. In fact, it's really, if you look at the ratings numbers on games, you see how huge it's getting overseas in Europe and all these kind of, it's basically passed baseball as America's pastime, as America's favorite sport. So anytime you can capitalize on that, and I feel like Friday Night Lights definitely did, it makes sense to bring it back. Plus, when that show aired, the shit that kids are going through now, totally different than what they were going through when that show initially aired, right? Now you got to start funneling in, which college are you going to go to because of NIL money? And or did you sign your letter of commitment, but now you're going to bail on it because you're going to go to another? And I mean, it's a whole college football and high school football is a whole different world than it was even just 5 years ago. So I like the idea of maybe coming back and revisiting this. It's kind of exciting.
Well, it's also funny because the same audience, the target audience that I feel like this show will be targeting, is the same target audience that I feel like Yellowstone would be targeting.
Oh, totally.
So, I mean, that's going to be a competition, especially with Dutton not being there, Daddy Dutton not being there. So that's interesting. I mean, I think that's a great way to try to bring in that audience. I mean, especially not to keep getting political, but the way the election turned out, everybody loves that Southern charm. So, I
would say this before we jump on, though. If you are going to jump on that show, I highly recommend watching the movie first.
Okay.
It's because the show
that's the one with Billy Bob Thornton, right?
Yes, and it's
I've seen that one.
Okay, yeah. So it's based on that. I mean, it's obviously totally different, but it was conceived from that. So if you hadn't seen that, I would have said make sure you watch that before you just jump into that one.
Because that's the one with the booby guy, right?
Yes.
I made it.
Yes, you did. All right, it's Christmas. Or at least according to everybody, it already is. Trees are already going up. Music's already being played. We haven't even had the turkey. Yeah, we haven't even had the turkey yet. But it's okay. So it only makes sense that we're opening Christmas movies. And I'm not going to lie, when we first started talking about this on the show in previous shows with, talking about news and the casting and all, I'm super excited about this one. I think this one could potentially be a really fun comedy action Christmas movie, right? It's got J.K. Simmons and Chris Evans and The Rock, and it just makes sense. We're of course talking about Red One. This is the one where Santa gets kidnapped and they got to go rescue him, right? Everything I just said makes it seem like it's a no-brainer that this would be a massive hit. It's coming out at the right time of year. It's got a massive cast. It's action. It's comedy. It's everything people normally want, and yet it opened very quietly, yesterday. We're recording on Saturday for anybody who doesn't know, with only $10 million, and it looks like it's only going to be a $30 million opening. Now, for The Rock and Chris Evans, but here's where it gets really tricky, okay? This is an Amazon film, you guys. And they made the decision to push it out in huge numbers. Normally they go, well, we're only going to put it limited because it's going to debut on Amazon Prime like pretty quickly. But they just said, no, we're all in on this 4,000 something screens, 4,032 screens, right? That means full release, $10 million and only $30 million for the weekend, it looks like. Why is that a problem for Amazon? I guess not, because Amazon has $1 gazillion. But why would it be a problem normally for anybody? It was a $250 million budget plus marketing. That's not even including marketing, which was probably easy, another $150 million. Meaning this thing all in is probably $500 million investment, and it's going to make $30 million on the opening weekend. Now, Amazon, to be fair, they came out after seeing these numbers and we're like, well, we know the success of this, and where we're going to see most of it is on streaming when it gets to Prime and people rent it or buy it. I'm like, okay, but and my concern is this the model?
Did you have to release it in 4,000 screens?
Exactly.
Like, did you have to do that?
Because is this the model that we're trying to do now? And are you doing this intentionally against the other studios who still want theatrical releases? Are you trying to say, look, this won't work? Fall Guy didn't work. It's seeing huge success on Peacock, right? I don't want this to be the model. I don't want these giant streamers to start putting the pressure on traditional studios and going, you might as well just make these for your streamer, because that's where all the money is. We keep showing you that it's going to fail at the box office. I don't want that, because like you said at the very top of the show, it just seems like old school traditional filmmaking Hollywood is dying. And if this is the trend, I don't want to make movies just for streamers. I don't. And this is a movie that normally you would think the crowds would be going nuts for. You're sitting in there and the cheers are coming and the laughs are coming like a Deadpool and Wolverine. And it didn't happen. And it didn't happen for Fall Guy. And it didn't. I'm worried. I'm concerned.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, to be honest, because there is a lot of these things happening every single month. We report on them all the time. All the big bats that Hollywood has been taking. So, I mean, just like Joker 2, nobody could have saw that one coming. Nobody saw that huge freaking box office bomb coming. So it is very unfortunate where we're at in the day and age of the entertainment industry. That's why I said, threw it out there. Is Hollywood dying? I surely hope not, because I want to do this for the rest of my life.
Exactly.
But, I mean, like, we gotta figure some stuff out, guys. We gotta, I mean, Zasloff, you're tight with your buddy, right? Yeah, I mean, come on, let's get some money back in, I guess. Show us you're worth the shit.
Well, it's funny that you brought up Joker, because that's my concern. My concern for the fact that the Penguin was so massively successful on Max, and we all know Zasloff has like this fucked up relationship with theatrical releases.
He does.
Even though The Batman was a huge theatrical success, is he looking going, damn, Penguin fucking rocked it. Maybe we just do Batman 2 on Max. It wouldn't be the first time he's taken a film that was made for theaters and dropped it on Max instead. So it terrifies me, because I feel like whenever you're taking a property that was initially theatrical and you put it to a streamer and it's successful, are you hurting yourself theatrically? Because, I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, after what I saw in The Penguin, and they set up different villains and, it plays into what's happening in Batman 2, I would watch Batman 2 on Max just because I'm all in on the story. So if that's the only place I'm getting it, I would watch it there. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to. And that's my concern. And it goes back to what I was saying about Red 1. Is this becoming the model? And if it is, are we in trouble for theatrical releases moving forward?
Right. Yeah, it's scary, man. It really is scary. But what also was scary, Netflix's bandwidth to try to control the amount of people that came to them this past Friday for the Paul and Tyson fight. Oh my goodness, man. The streamer freezing, losing sound, and providing a slow reload. It got to the point where, like, I exited out and went back in at least 20 times up until the female fight that was right before the Paul and Tyson fight. And then at the female fight, I couldn't even watch that one because it wouldn't load anymore. So I had to give up and just wait until this morning, Saturday morning, to freaking see what happened. So that was very disappointing. You know, Netflix has made this huge initiative to go into the live entertainment space. Like, we've seen the comedy specials with, like, Chris Rock and Joe Rogan. We've seen the SAG-AFTRA Awards that debuted on there as well.
And we're a little rough.
They were a little rough too. But the amount of flow and traffic that Netflix experienced from this specific thing, they weren't ready. They even came out with an article beforehand that same day talking about how they were ready, and you were not. I mean, all day today, I've been seeing memes and people still talking about how disappointed they were not being able to see the fight. And yeah, it really freaking sucked, man, because I really would have enjoyed to watch despite what the outcome was. But, like, it made it really frustrating to where instead of being on Netflix, I went over to a different streaming service and was watching their content.
Yeah.
Like, I think they really dropped the ball on this one.
Without doubt. And it doesn't make sense because Netflix has money. It's not like they can't build out their servers to provide the capacity necessary for this. So it wasn't a money issue. It wasn't a timing issue. This fight was supposed to happen months ago, and they had more time to get it ready. The marketing, they spent a ton of money on marketing. So they knew this thing was going to be huge. There's no way they didn't see the interest of people. With Jake Paul's built-in audience and Mike Tyson's built-in audience, you're getting a cross-generation of people that you knew were going to show up. You knew literally more people that had ever tuned in to Netflix before were going to be tuning in. So there is no excuse why you should not have been ready. And here's where the thing that really irked me is they tried to blame everybody else. There was a certain point where things were coming up on the screen saying, it looks like your internet is slow.
Check your
internet or check your connection. It's like, it wasn't
bad.
My internet connection. And trust me, we all know how I feel about my internet provider. Spectrum fucking sucks, but it wasn't Spectrum. My shit was fine. But the idea that, and even more so, you worked real quick to get that screen up, to blame other people. You should have been working that quick to fix whatever was fucking wrong instead of trying to blame other people. Or did you have that screen ready to go because you knew you didn't have the capacity? That's what I really think. I think that they were prepared to have it fail and had a screen ready to go to blame somebody else, which is fucked up every which way from Sunday. So if you're going to stay in the live field, guys, especially sports, you need to be ready.
Yeah, I'm just saying. They said it drew in a massive, 60 million viewers globally, peaking about 65 million on concurrent streams.
Yeah.
But then, this is an interesting article. Fox News brought up the point of now NFL fans are worried about those Christmas Day games that people are going to be watching.
Exactly.
So what's that going to look like? That's a crazy good point because people are going to get their Christmas ruined by some drunk dads because Netflix could not play some games.
You want to know what the irony of that was? When they're interviewing Jerry Jones and Jerry Jones is talking about the excitement of the partnering between the NFL and Netflix, his mic didn't work.
Yeah.
He's talking about what a great relationship it's going to be and how awesome it is, and you fucked up his mic.
Crazy.
He had to lean in and get Michael. Just this is so fucked up. Speaking of fucked up, because we just briefly have to talk about it before we move on, but the fight. What? This was a money grab by Jake Paul and a money grab only by Jake Paul. It was the only purpose of this thing. While I won't say it was fixed, I do think that it was determined. And what the fuck, Jake Paul? Why are you scooping up $40 million and only giving Mike 20? The other thing I have a major problem with is you had a real fight that night where the competitors put everything on the line, literally blood, guts, and soul, pummeling the shit out of each other. It was like watching an old Rocky movie, okay? And they didn't get paid shit. Like $6 million, $4 million. You're walking away with 40 and barely broke a sweat, motherfucker. What is up with that? Like, if you want to be a boxer, great. But don't put these events on to pad your social media numbers and your bank account without, like, I don't know, man. I would have rather seen a real fight. And now we're finding out, the day after the fight that Mike Tyson literally almost died a few months ago, which is why it was delayed. So when we get that information, and then we hear Jake say he took it a little easy on him, of course you did, because you knew he almost died. None of us did, but you knew he did. So this was never going to be the fight that they were billing it to be, which I think is unfair, right? All these people tuned in. All these people probably signed up for Netflix just to watch this fight so that they could pay him $40 million for what was never going to be the fight they billed it as. And I have a problem with that.
Well, I mean, Tyson's got to have some responsibility.
Oh, no, totally.
Too, because, yeah, like, I think it was just this big, it was WWE. Let's be honest about it.
Yeah,
it felt really WWE. And because they were completely fine afterwards, they did a lot of promo stuff where they were around each other a lot.
Yeah,
like the videos and all that stuff. So it's like, it seemed like it was very much a money grab because of Tyson's name. And I think that's how he's trying to do it. And he, his team, whoever is putting these things on, maybe it's the same promoter every single time.
No, it is. Yeah.
It's crazy because it makes you never want to watch a Jake Paul fight, even if he's trying to be a professional boxer, because you feel like everything is this big theatrical experience. Now, don't get me wrong. You have people like Conor McGregor, who's actually a badass that also does theatrical shit, but it's not to this magnitude. This is something completely different out of left field. So literally every single time somebody goes up against one of these Paul brothers in boxing, they're like, man, I hope he knocks him out. And then it never happens. It never freaking happens. So it's just disappointing because you're basically lying to the customer. And it sucks, man. It sucks.
And I didn't buy at all that Tyson was fatigued or that his age was shown. If you watched his workout videos leading up to it, the speed that he was moving at and the power that he was hitting that guy with, if he had come out of the corner at that speed and just attacked him, he would have knocked him the fuck out in like 20 seconds. And so you can't tell me that it wasn't determined already.
Well, my argument to that is social media, you only see what they want you to see.
Well,
so, there's that too.
That's true, but even if even if they only want to have you see the good stuff,
yeah,
Mike, the good stuff, even if it only lasted for a minute before he got winded, would have been long enough to knock him the fuck out. I mean, there's no denying that at least for a minute and a half, Mike is able to move at that speed and power and duck under punches. Then why the fuck didn't you just run across like a fucking bull and nail the fuck out of him? And the other thing is, here's the thing, right? Tyson was talking about the whole time building up to it. He says he's a killer, but I'm a natural-born killer. It's in me. I'm Satan. I'm the devil. If that was true, when that motherfucker tried to bow to you, you would have smacked the fuck out, knocked him the fuck out, because it wasn't over. The bell didn't ring. That guy put his hands down and leaned in. You should have fucking clocked the fuck out. If you were real, if you were like, the monster's inside me still, Paul would have been on his face.
The whole event was kind of like faithful to the professional boxing.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
the whole thing, because like even with the first fight, the Indian guy and the YouTuber, freaking when he was humping him in the corner,
Oh,
the
yeah,
whole
yeah.
thing, like
Yeah.
I just felt like I was watching a theater performance
Yeah.
from the beginning to the end.
And
So it's unfortunate.
yeah, and you know who got the biggest raw deal out of it all? The two women fighters who were there to legitimately fight.
Exactly.
Who are real boxers who put on a real match and did what they were supposed to do. And I feel like nobody's talking about them today.
Yeah.
And that is the misfortunate thing about the whole thing, is because that was the fight. That might be the fight of the year, men or woman. That was like maybe one of the best fights I've ever seen. And the fact that nobody's referencing that, and they're only talking about all this other shit, epic fail by Netflix. So fingers crossed for the football games. We're going to see how Netflix moves forward with this live shit. But so far, not off to a good start.
No, completely agree, man. Completely agree. Well, now it is time for our top 5 segment, man. And this week, it is top 5 favorite comedy films currently. So, you know, we have these broad spectrums of top 5s. You know, we've been doing this show for 276 episodes. So sometimes we're going to be recycling a little bit. Current day times, opinions change. So I'm very excited to talk about this because there are some current day comedies that are on our list, but then there's also the classics that we really enjoy that we can't take off the list. You know, I mean, there's some on there that you're just like, no matter what, this is my number one. It's so freaking good.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start off with number 5, and I'm going to start off with The Instigators with Matt Damon and Casey Affleck. They was on Apple TV Plus. If you guys have not seen it, please be sure to do so. This one is freaking hilarious. I mean, it's like a crime comedy, and everybody just needs money. We know what that's like. We are trying to just get a quick hustle and make sure we have enough food at the end of the week. Like, so that whole time, like, it was a great dialogue driven story with a lot of good comedy. And I mean, you know, they're boys. They go way back. So I think you can really tell that they had amazing chemistry and that they did have a relationship offset. But I just really enjoyed this film more than I honestly thought I would. So if you guys haven't seen this film, please be sure to do so. It's called The Instigators on Apple TV Plus. Like I said, one of my favorite films of the year so far, honestly.
I'm right there with you. I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed this film. I thought it was hilarious. Damon is just epic in it, like he always is, and yeah. Casey Affleck for me is hit or miss. Sometimes he delivers and I'm like, man, this is like one of the best things I've ever seen. And then other times it's like, this guy's got no talent at all near his brother. So it's just like, if he could get consistent, I think he'd be like one of the greatest actors ever, but he's got to find a little bit of consistency.
I hated the Jesse James movie. Everybody talks about it. They love that thing. I hate that movie. Even though I love Brad Pitt, but it's not good.
Totally. But this one is a really good movie, and I think that it helps that Casey, like you said, has chemistry with Damon, and they play off of each other really well. It's a really fun one. My number 5, also a crime comedy, if you will, and I've been talking about it literally just in this show, The Fall Guy. I'm one of the 4 people that went and saw it in the theaters, and and I watched it on Peacock because they have the extended version on Peacock. Guys, this is a really great, epic, comedic action comedy and a love story. And it's just like, and I'm not just talking about the love story between the characters. I'm talking about a love story for the industry and stuntmen and what they mean to the industry. This film is so fun, and it's got so many little twists and turns, and the acting is phenomenal. I mean, Gosling and Emily Blunt and just the entire cast is phenomenal. And why this didn't hit, I just do not know. But this is one of my favorite comedies, not just currently, but maybe of all time now. It's just a really fun, grab your popcorn, sit and have a kick-ass time type of a movie. And you know, if you haven't seen it, see it. Because you'll be happy that you did. Gosling and Blunt kill it in this movie. Their chemistry is like on fire, literally, and they're so fun together. They're so cute together. Yeah, I can't rave enough about this one, The Fall Guy. And if you're old like me and fan of the show that this is based on, stick around towards the very end because you get a little visit from Lee Majors and Heather Thomas. So you get a payoff at the end there. Yeah, Fall Guy, man, number 5.
I know, it's so funny. You would have thought that thing would have been a sure thing after Oppenheimer and Barbie.
Exactly.
It's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Number 4 for me is another Apple TV Plus movie. It's The Family Plan with Mark Wahlberg.
Yes.
I think Mark Wahlberg is one of the most consistent actors in Hollywood. Even if the film is not as big of a budget, as big of a blockbuster, but he is one of the most consistent actors, in my opinion. Even Father Stew, which not a lot of people like because of the religious aspect. Yeah, I loved it too. Like, I cried during it. Like,
Me
it's
too.
A great movie.
And can I just tell you real quick before you go back to The Family Plan? I watched the cleaned up version. Fucking hated it.
Yeah.
It's
not real.
It's not real. Exactly. So yeah, I'm with you though. I love that movie. Okay, back to The Family Plan.
And The Family Plan, basically where the dad is a spy and his family has no idea. And it's freaking hilarious. And they meet their grandpa, who is this freaking, this big baddie villain. And yeah, it's just really funny. It's a lot of driving in mom's minivan type thing, and shooting out the windows. So yeah, it was really good. Again, another one of my favorites of this past year. Number 4 for me, The Family Plan.
I'm right there with you. I fucking loved this movie, and the other one that he did about adopting the one when it was Rose Byrne and him, and they adopted the kids. He's doing really well with these
family.
Yeah, he's doing well with these family movies, and the reason I brought that up is because in The Family Plan, again, the kids are phenomenal actors. Mm-hmm. The way they play off of Wahlberg in this film is freaking just phenomenal, and his chemistry with Rachel McAdams is off the charts in this movie. It's a little steamy. It gets a little. And this is a good one. I had a blast with this one. And he's fun to watch when he's playing a nerdy guy, if you will.
Yeah, he is.
The way he was freaking out about the selfies and the camera, and he's trying to be all good, but he's not. He's hilarious when he's playing that type of a character, and it's just, it's so good. It's so good.
Give full credit to Will Ferrell for bringing him into the comedy space with the other guys. He really helped him out.
Yeah, and if you liked The Family Plan, check out the one with Halle Berry on Netflix too. It's escaping me off the top of my. But again, another where he kind of plays a nerdy guy that they want to be a kick-ass guy, but he has to learn how to be a kick-ass. It's funny as shit, and it's a really good movie as well. My number 4 is an actual hit. He's the go-to guy in Hollywood right now, and rumors have it he turned down People magazine. I don't know if that's true or not. But anyway, talking about the hitman himself, Glenn Powell, and his movie, Hitman. I don't even know where this thing was just epic from start to finish. It's based on a real guy. It's a true story. And then, of course, they took some liberties because you do with movies. But it's just brilliant. Again, he's this just normal guy that is forced into the role of pretending to be a hitman, who becomes a hitman, and it's just, I don't know. I am a huge fan of this man. I think his range and the different characters that he's been able to pull off, all successfully in these different types of movies, have been huge. And this movie really worked for me. I liked the whole pacing of it. I thought it was entertaining. It had some twists that you didn't see coming. Excuse me, which I like. I like movies that make you think. And I'm normally pretty good at figuring it out way before they want you to. But there was a couple in there that I missed, which had me excited. Because then I had to watch it again. So yeah, my number 4, Hitman. If you guys haven't seen this one, highly recommend it. Entertaining as hell.
Yeah, and like you said, based off a real guy, and Glenn Powell is the number 1 guy in Hollywood, like you said. So I think it was very successful. And if you guys haven't seen Twisters is out right now on Peacock, so be sure to check that out if you guys have not
And
seen
what's
it.
his female co-star? Adorna Georgia. It's the one who's like in a bunch of stuff that, and she's being the one most rumored for the new Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
She's also like a go-to A-lister in Hollywood right now, and their chemistry was off the charts. So, boom.
Completely agree, man. Completely agree. Well, my number 3, I'm going back to an oldie but a goodie, an oldie within the last 15 years. And I'm talking about Wedding Crashers with Vince Vaughn, Owen Wilson, Isla Fisher, Bradley Cooper, and so Rachel McAdams. Like, this is a freaking phenomenal film. Christopher Walken, like, so many great freaking actors and actresses in this project, and it's so freaking funny. I think buddy comedies can have the potential to be great romantic comedies. So, you know, it's like they're backdoor romantic comedy.
Oh, without doubt.
And like, it was so freaking good. There's still so many quotable lines. Will Ferrell's in it. Mom, where's the meatloaf? What is she doing back there? Like, I mean, it's so many things. Yeah, I mean, I was about to do a bit. Oh my God. You motorboat, you son of a bitch, you. Oh my God. I love this movie so much. I watched it so many times with my brothers growing up, and it's always a classic. I had Emily watch it for the first time a couple years ago, and she thought it was hilarious. So,
really?
Yeah, it's one of those that I can definitely put on anytime and just sit down and watch it.
Oh, agreed.
Number 3 for me, Wedding Crashers.
I love that. And yeah, everything about that film is there's not a single moment that you're not laughing at something.
Yeah.
Right, which is rare. Even in a really good comedy, you usually get a moment where it wasn't funny. But this one, no, from start to finish, it's like an episode of Big Bang Theory. You are laughing from start to finish. Like, you can't help it. My number 3, it's a new one. It's just recently out. And I'll be honest about it, okay? The only reason I was even given it a chance is because I didn't see a whole lot about it. I saw the trailer briefly when I went to go see a different movie, but I was all in because I love Aubrey Plaza. A huge fan. I think she just slays in everything she's in. She's quirky, she's original, she's real. And I'm like, I'm going to go watch it. My old ass. Fucking hilarious. Everything about Aubrey Plaza clicks in this movie. She and the young girl that's playing the younger version of her, brilliant as well. Does an amazing job. And so if you don't know what this is, it's about this young girl who's coming of age, and she's like confused about where she is in life and what she's thinking about, what she's doing. And it's her birthday, and she's on this island with her friends, and they're kind of celebrating, even though her family wants her back at the house with the cake and everything. And they hit the shrooms, and they get pretty fucked up. And they've never done them before, so they're hallucinating, and they're like, oh yeah. And so basically her older self appears. And she thinks it's a hallucination from the shrooms, but then the shrooms wear off and she's still there. And so she starts to tell her about things going on later in life, and starts to kind of maybe lay the groundwork for a few warnings here or there about, don't do this. You might not want to do that. Take the chance on this kind of a thing. And it's just the way it plays out. And even though it's comedic, the serious nature in which the story is being told, it's perfect for Aubrey because she's so fucking just weird. So when she's doing these things or having these conversations, you're just all in on it because you're like, what is she doing? And you can't like take your eyes off of her. She's just so, I love her to death. So it's funny. It's a really great coming of age movie. It's a nice little romantic story, kind of interluding back and forth in between and everything. So if you like just a good, not family friendly, this is not a family friendly comedy. But if you're all in on just a fun, quirky comedy with a little bit of everything mixed into it, I highly recommend this one. I think it's even streaming now, because I'm gonna watch it again on streaming. I saw that it popped up. I think it's on Prime, and you don't have to rent it. I mean, it's available on Prime. My old ass. It's funny as shit, bro.
That's hilarious. I love that. Well, number 2 for me is Anyone But You, with two of Hollywood's big things right now. Of course, Sydney Sweeney and then Glenn Powell.
That guy.
A lot of critical like hate towards this film, but the box office did not lie. Okay, people went and saw this film, and they also saw it on Netflix a lot when it started to hit the streamer. It's hilarious, man. It's honestly one of my favorite comedies of all time. Um, and we had the cinematographer from this film
We did.
on our podcast. So be sure to check out that interview. But yeah, I loved it. I mean, shooting in Sydney, Australia, I thought it was a beautiful backdrop to this hilarious story. And it's always, I'm just going to be honest about it. It's always so appealing to watch beautiful people fall in love. I'm not going to lie. You just want to watch beautiful people fall in love every second of every day. So yeah, there it is. Anyone but you.
They are really fucking beautiful people.
Yeah, the both
of them are.
Really
I don't
jealous.
care. I'm confident
Really
enough in my
jealous.
manhood to say
Yeah.
that Glenn Powell is a good-looking man. Okay, fuck it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a good-looking man.
He
And-
is white girl fit.
I mean-
because he did not do cardio and he had to swim, but he is white girl fit.
He
It's
is.
fine.
He's to be fair and honest. He's not like. I mean, he's defined, but he is not ripped. He is not
No.
full of muscles. He is an in shape, good-looking man.
Yeah.
So you know, and I mean, obviously, she's hot as shit. So I mean, like, I think any guy
So hot.
alive
Yeah.
that has a pulse thinks Sydney Sweeney
Yeah.
is attractive.
Without a
So,
doubt. Without a doubt.
Duh. My number 2. I cannot emphasize this enough. It's like my number 5 in the sense that you would have thought this was a no-brainer, going to be a massive box office hit. It's another one where I think I'm only one of 4 people who saw it in the theaters. And I don't understand. John Krasinski, Ryan Reynolds, Steve Carell, Lou Gossett Jr. Massive cast failed epically at the box office. I don't get it. It's if. This thing, it's a comedy. I cried like a gazillion times. The story during it is, and don't get me wrong, you laugh hysterically because the imaginary friends, especially Steve Carell with the big purple guy, fucking
Right.
funny as shit. I mean, throughout, and the quirkiness with Ryan Reynolds and the back and forth with Krasinski, you know, it clicks on every level comedically, but it's a very touching story about a little girl who loses her mom, and now her dad is sick. And she's afraid he's going to die. And so the arrival of the imaginary friends, and her purpose is to try to help find all of these imaginary friends and reconnect them with their kids.
Right.
Because they're reappearing, as far as she thinks, because their kids no longer need them, and she wants to reconnect all of the kids with them. That's kind of the basic thing. And it's just it's amazing. It's a remarkable story, family friendly, hugely family friendly, that moves on every level, and nobody saw it. And I'm so disappointed because Krasinski, by the way, guys, Krasinski is a brilliant fucking filmmaker. This guy is a hell of a director and writer and storyteller. And then you pepper in Ryan Reynolds, like I said, and it's the last performance of Lou Gossett Jr. and his character. He is an imaginary friend in it, but it's a very pivotal character in the storyline, and kind of a sending tribute to him, you know, to send him off. I can't say it enough. You guys should totally see this movie. Just if. I wish I had an answer to the if they had done this or if they had done that, it would have been better at the box office.
Right.
I don't know. But just please see this movie. My number 2, if.
Yes, fantastic, man, fantastic. A lot of your films are within the last like 2 years.
I tried. I was like, because I do, you know, like you said, I have mine that I'm like, this one is always going to be my go-to, right? Like, but there were a lot of really good movies over the last couple of years that I feel like didn't get enough love. So I'm peppering them with love.
Exactly. Who says comedy is dead?
Exactly.
Comedy's not dead.
Exactly.
But number 1 for me goes to Superbad. Oh my goodness, I love this film. Just the craziness that is high school, right? Just getting yourself into a whole bunch of shit, and you feel like you can't come back from it. But guess what? You're just a kid. It's all good. You're
Yes.
gonna make mistakes. You're gonna have fun. You're gonna get a little crazy, and that's just a part of life. And that's what this film is. Seth Rogen and his writing partner were working on this film for years. This is literally like the first thing they ever produced, or one of the first things they ever produced, and it's still one of the biggest comedies of all time. And with this is the jump start to like Jonah Hill in this film. And I mean, it's still early days, kind of early days for adult Seth Rogen. I don't want to say for his career in general because he was in Freaks and Geeks, but I mean, this started his career as a creator rather than just an
Right.
actor. And I loved everything about it. I mean, you got McLovin, you have freaking Bill Hader, I think that's
Yep.
his name.
Yep.
From damn it, now I forget his show too. But you guys know who he is as cops, and they were hilarious. And yeah, just the film is one of my all-time favorites. So be sure to check out Superbad if you haven't, and if you haven't, you've been living under a rock. So
Oh.
yes, my number one.
I totally agree with everything you just said. It's an absolutely brilliant movie. It's a very specific genre of comedy, you know,
is.
and it kind of spawned a lot of those type movies, honestly.
Yeah.
But that's a signal as to how good it was, because you don't
Yeah.
try to copy or something unless it's really good. And yeah, this is like, I'm with you. If you haven't seen this one, what the fuck?
Crazy.
Like crawl out from underneath and go see it. My number one, I was hugely surprised by, and in a good way. This was Jennifer Lawrence's return vehicle, if you will. She had taken some time off and had the kid, and was doing life. But then this was her kind of comeback movie, if you will. And No Hard Feelings is the one I'm talking about, and. Guys, if you saw the trailer, if you saw all the commercials, all the marketing, they were billing it as a raunchy comedy in the vein of an American Pie, or, it's a sex-filled escapade of just raunch, adult humor kind of thing. No! It wasn't even close to raunchy or anything like that. This is an actually very moving, touching, cute rom-com with a very endearing love story, and I was blown away. I was like really pleasantly surprised. There's a couple of comedic moments that they could use to grab for the raunchy marketing that they were trying to fool you with. But when you see it in the context of the full scene in the movie, it's not raunchy at all. It's a part of something else. And this is just a really amazing, cute, romantic comedy with a very endearing storyline with a young guy that's just socially awkward and doesn't know his place in life. And then her character is trying to figure out, she's a grown-up, but maybe hasn't done everything right, and she isn't quite where she wants to be in life. And so they're just two different people coming from two different places trying to figure out who they are and where they want to be. And it's brilliant, and I'm just gonna say it. And Jennifer Lawrence has been in like amazing shit, all kinds of stuff, and she is, there's no question to her talent. This might be my favorite role.
Oh, wow.
Legitimately, just, she's very endearing. I buy every second of this character and her compassion for the younger guy, and where she's at in life, and the mishaps of what so many of us go through when we're trying to figure it out at that age, kind of a thing. I'm all in. And yeah, I cannot say enough about this film. No Hard Feelings. And I know everybody is like, oh, but the scene. Yes, there is a full frontal nude scene with Jennifer Lawrence on a beach whooping some kid's ass, and it's really her. She didn't use a stunt double. She didn't use a body double. Really. And good for her, because she looked amazing. And so to come back from having the kid and do all the kind of, and she was like, nah, you don't need no body double. I'm going to raw doll this and do it. Fucking great. It's a great scene, by the way. The context behind it. And yeah, just the whole thing. No Hard Feelings. Perfect.
Well, there it is, guys. Oh my goodness, that's our favorite comedies as of right now. Be sure to comment below in the YouTube comment section or Twitter, X, Threads, all the good places. Be sure to let us know what your favorite comedy is. Please be sure. We love the fan interaction. It's
We
always
do.
a whole bunch of fun. Now heading over to the box office recap. Venom, The Last Dance, still staying at number 1 with 16 million. Heretic at number 2 with 11 million. The Best Christmas Pageant Ever at number 3 with 11 million. The Wild Robot with number 4 at 6.6 million. And then Smile 2 with 5.1 million.
Yes.
And like we said earlier, new movies coming out. Red 1. Will it do well? Will it not? We'll see. And Albany Road. That is also coming out in select theaters near you.
Don't know which one that is, but
yeah. Some movies you can still go see in select theaters near you. Honora, We Live in Time, A Real Pain, Weekend in Taipei, and Elevation. So be sure to check out those if they are playing at your local cineplexes. And then heading over to the IMDbPro's top trending segment, the top trending movie is The Substance. I know nothing about this film.
This is the one with Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley where she takes that drug that makes her younger or gives her a younger appearance, but it drives her like fucking, I guess, psychopath crazy or whatever.
Oh, wow.
And then the younger version wants to stay. And so doesn't want her to revert back to the older. So, yeah, from what I understand, this is like a crazy-ass movie, but it's getting a lot of attention. So, yeah. And it's funny because it's as far as I know, it's not in theaters anymore and hasn't popped up on a streamer yet, and yet everybody's still talking about it. So, yeah.
Nice. Felt fantastic. That's always good to see. And then the top trending show, of course, is The Penguin. The finale was absolutely crazy. What the hell, man? Do we still like Penguin? Who knows? Who freaking knows? I remember I was texting you while I was watching, and I was like, oh, this is cool. This is cool. This is cool. What the fuck?
Yeah, like, And it's such a what the fuck moment that when you texted it, I knew immediately which part you were on. I'm like, oh, when he does this? And you're like, yeah. And I'm like, so, yeah. It's wow.
Absolutely hilarious. Be sure to check that out if you haven't watched The Penguin. It's like one of the best things on television right now.
Oh, hands down. Yeah.
And it makes me want to go back and rewatch The Batman.
Did. Yeah. I did before I started watching The Penguin. Yeah, I was like, let me go. And then I'm glad I did because when you watch The Batman, the last time you see Penguin in The Batman is the opening scene for the first episode of The Penguin. So I was so kind of glad I did that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man, for sure. And then the top trending star is Kelsey as Billy.
Yep.
As Billy. I know she's the girl from Yellowstone.
Yep.
Which is funny. I actually went back and tried to see if I was behind on Yellowstone, and I'm not. I finished season 5, so now I just need to wait for it to
first
come
half
to a
of
streamer.
season 5, right? Like
yeah, exactly. Whatever is on Paramount Plus and Peacock. I looked at both of those, and I'm caught up on all.
Oh yeah, so you're good to go. Yeah. Have you had it spoiled yet? The first episode.
No, I mean, I saw that he came out, and that's when he found out how his character left the show.
So you know how his character left the show then?
No, I don't. I try to stay away from that.
Okay,
shit.
all right,
not you, sir.
All right,
yes,
no.
Not tell me.
I watched it when it aired last week, and I haven't said a word to you. So don't come at me. I've been really good.
I'm surprised. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for getting crazy with us on episode 276 of ITCAF Podcast. Oh my goodness, we're entering in the Gobble Gobble season.
Yes!
So be sure to give thanks where thanks is due. So we want to thank all of you out there for listening, watching, anything you do to support us here at Crazy Ant Media. We really freaking appreciate it. And ways to appreciate and support us are by following us on social media.
Yes.
Of course, the podcast is at ITCAF Podcast. The mental health podcast is at Everything OKP. We had an episode just come out this past week about comparison, so be sure to check that out. And then, of course, at Crazy Ant Media on all social media platforms, so be sure to do that. And then, of course, you can follow us both personally on social media. Myself at JLoganAustin and
at Crazy Ant CEO.
That's right. That's right. And you can subscribe to this podcast and Everything's Okay on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. This podcast is on a lot more platforms. So basically, anywhere you get your podcast, you can find this specific podcast. So be sure to do that. Those are Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Stitcher, and so much more. If you like this video on YouTube, subscribe to the channel and ring the bell for all the latest and greatest notifications coming out of Crazy Ant Media. And man, oh man, also be sure to visit our website, www.crazyantmedia.com, where you can start rocking the latest and greatest Crazy Ant Media gear. We got a little something for a little bit of everyone.
We do.
Be sure to check that out. But man, what another great freaking episode. I like how we haven't really had a lot of business news to talk about recently in the past couple episodes. So I like how we delve deep into that and what the future of Hollywood is going to look like under the new regime, and the mergers that are still supposed to happen, hopefully, and what we just are hoping for Hollywood, man. We want Hollywood to be around for a very long time. You make memories through entertainment, so we hope to continue to make those memories.
Without doubt, I would agree. Yeah, and it's fun because it's always towards the end of the year and then the beginning of the year when we talk most of the business. It's because when the fiscal year ends for most of them, and what's coming up and where are they going to go. And just a little piece of advice for Netflix: anytime that you think you're the best is when you fuck up.
Yep.
You did a lot of talking about how nobody's touching you and you're so far ahead and you're ahead of this, blah, 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 blah. Just working quiet. Make sure your shit's together before you start thinking you're better than everybody else.
Just saying.
Just saying as a little piece of advice. And because you mentioned the website, you can also message us there if you want, which it was hilarious because, you're saying where everybody can follow us. And I just want to say, I got a quick message. And I don't know if it came from the website or not, because I can't remember whether it was directed to the business email or not. But it was, why do you use your name and I use my title? And then, it was a very innocent question. And I was like, I tried to respond and said, well, I do use my name, but it's on my private account. And I had that before starting the bit. So I didn't want to just change it all of a sudden. So I tried to say that in the most... So anybody listening who is confused by that, it's like, I too have one that's just my name, but it's been that account for like ages, and it's my private personal account. So I didn't want to confuse people by going, well, let's make another one with my name for my business account. That's it. Just a simple explanation. That's it.
Yeah, you talk about your handle.
Yeah. I thought it was a valid question. Somebody, because we both change them all the time. And it's like, why don't you ever change it to your name like J-Lo did? And I was like, well, because I can't. Because I can't. No,
it's taken by me.
By me.
Yeah, exactly. At least you have it. At least you have your name.
No, this is true. Nobody can take my name. That's true. That's true.
Exactly.
You know who I would let take my name, though, if she wanted it?
Only if she wanted to.
Because
I would.
Why not, right?
The one, the only
Oprah!